This is Megzable69 with Take the Red Pill. It seems as though the videos that I have been creating lately have created a little disturbance with some people. And let me just put this out there and just let's get things straight from the beginning. First of all, I'm not here to call anybody out, say anybody's a liar or anything of that nature. I just don't do that. I don't get into name calling or anything like that. What I'm doing is just simply looking at things, like for example in the Bible, and asking questions. And that's about as far as it goes with me. I mean, there's no motive behind anything. You know, it's just when people turn around and they say, okay, well, they believe something and it's the truth, then I always look at what the evidence for this truth is. And there's a lot of times that truth is not really all it's cracked up to be. Let me give you a simple example. There are so many things in the Bible that somebody said that the Bible is supposedly 98% correct. Now, inerrant means free of errors. So I don't care if you're 98% correct, you are not 100% correct. Therefore, you are not free of errors. Enough said on that. Let me get into a couple of things that I found pretty interesting. Excuse me. There are certain things in life today that we just would look at and say, no, this is not right. This is totally immoral. It's not correct. Yet, I find those very things happening in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And I know I've heard a lot of people turn around and said, well, that's the Old Testament. That's the way things were done, and as though it doesn't count. Well, here's the thing. If the Old Testament does not count, then I guess we might as well throw away the whole 10 Commandments. And that means we can lie, cheat, steal, kill, the whole 9 yards. Nobody's going to, of course, agree to that. So yes, the Old Testament does count. But one of the issues that I brought up one time is that in the Bible, God actually kills. And people turn around and say, oh no, this punishment. Well, here's the thing. When you kill, you end a life. Whether you do it yourself or you have somebody else do it, you're still responsible for ending a life. And let me give you a few examples actually. Let's take a look, for example, the Great Flood. That's the first one. Now, there were only 8 people on that ark. Supposedly everybody else on the planet was wiped out. Now, here's the thing. I'm sure there were some innocent babies in there that got wiped out as well. Maybe 2-3 month old, who knows? I mean, we don't know, we can't say for sure that it was just adults that were killed. More than likely there were people who had families that got killed. But the big question I got is, what has a 2 or a 3 month old baby done wrong? What sin has a 2 or 3 month old baby committed to be killed, to justify killing a child? Again, in this day and age, that would be so vile. I mean, people would be saying, hey, look, this guy needs to get killed, whoever committed the crime. But yet we find that happen. Here's another thing that was pretty interesting to me. Let's take a look at the whole story with Moses, you know, the Exodus, or actually in Exodus, okay? In chapter 3, you had the whole thing with the burning bush. Then in chapter 4, when you get to like verse 18, Moses comes up to Jethro, his father-in-law, and says, hey, look, I need to go back to Egypt. And of course, you know, God was, you know, in chapter 3, you know, Moses was with God in the, you know, the burning bush, and got all this commands. And, you know, God spoke with Moses, you know, a lot. So anyway, again, verse 18 in chapter 4, Moses tells Jethro, hey, look, let me go. I got to go to Egypt. Well, you go down 3 verses down, verse 21. Moses tells God tells Moses, even before Moses steps foot in Egypt, he tells Moses that he will harden Pharaoh's heart. And also that Moses is to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And now I'm going to paraphrase, I don't remember the exact wording, but pretty much Moses to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. because Israel is my son, says the Lord, and if you don't let my people go, then I will kill your first son, your firstborn sons, that is. And so, again, this is before Moses even encountered the Pharaoh. So after that point, that's when all the, after Moses, from that point forward, when Moses went to the Pharaoh, every time Pharaoh went, Moses went to Pharaoh and said, let my people go. And Pharaoh said, no, I'm not doing it. That's when plagues came around. Until you get to, like, I think, what is it, Exodus 12, where, God kills the firstborn. Now, here's the thing that just makes it kind of seem a little strange to me. God, before Moses even stepped foot in Egypt, God tells Moses that he will harden Pharaoh's heart. And so it almost seems as though every time after that Pharaoh said no, his heart was hardened. It almost seems like that was God's doing, because he said he was going to do it anyway. So now my question is this: did God purposely harden Pharaoh's heart so he wouldn't let the Egyptians go, so that way he can show his power, just to bring the plagues down on Egypt, and again, just for show of power? I mean, that seems kind of sick, don't you think? But the thing is, that's the way it seems. If you step back and look at the whole picture, when I step back and look at the picture anyway, that's what it seemed like. Like God just decided that, hey, look, I'm going to show how powerful I am. But first I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart so he can say no to you. That way I'll have a reason to send all these plagues to Egypt and just put these people through misery. Now here's my other question to that. Oh, number one, of course, does that seem like a moral thing to do? You're going to set the stage so that way somebody or people can get punished or hurt in the process just to show your might? Does that seem moral? Not to me. Now here's the other thing also. Killing those children, the firstborn, well, maybe they weren't all children, because I mean, there could have been a grandfather who he only had his firstborn son, and that's who died. But the thing is, again, killing the firstborn because you want to show your power? Come on. Just stuff like that just doesn't make sense. So my question is this: does that seem like a moral thing to do? Does that seem just? I mean, here's the thing. If God is all-knowing, I guess you can use that as the excuse to say, well, then he knew that Pharaoh wasn't going to say no. But the thing is, he said himself that he will harden Pharaoh's heart. But here's the bigger question. If God is supposedly all-powerful, as others claim, then why did he have to go through all that? Why couldn't he just have freed the people, the Egyptians, himself? Or better yet, why did he allow the Egyptians to become slaves in the first place? Or excuse me, I say Egyptians. Why did he allow the Israelites to become slaves in the first place? If he was all benevolent, all good, he maybe should not have allowed them to become slaves in the first place. And then if he was all powerful, he did not have to send plagues to Egypt and go through that whole exercise. He could have just simply freed the Israelites himself. Don't you think? That's a question I have. I have not seen it. Nobody has answered it for me. But I'm curious to see what kind of response I'd like to get a response to that and see what comes of it. Now, here's the other funny thing. To be a leader, I mean, you're going to lead by example, because to me in life, there's a difference between a leader and a manager. A manager can sit behind a desk or sit anywhere and say, do this, do that, and that's it. A leader will lead the people. And one of the ways you can be an effective leader is lead by example. In other words, do as I do. Don't simply do as I say. Because when you have somebody who just simply wants you to do as they say, not just the fact that you can look at that as a managerial role, but you can also, I guess, look at that as a tyrant. So here's the example I want to use on that. Moses comes down from the mountain with the 2 tablets in his hands. The people are worshiping, all sorts of other things, golden calf, what have you. And then God tells them to take up their swords and go through the camp, sibling, friend, whomever, slay them. That day, 3,000 people died. But here's the funny thing about it. On those tablets, one of the commandments said, "Thou shalt not kill." But yet, he turns around and he tells them to go ahead and kill 3,000 people that day. Number one, I guess to me, that seems a little hypocritical. But number two, again, that's not a leader. That's a do as I say, not do as I do. Just saying. So, I see an accuracy over there. Again, telling people don't kill, don't do this, all these don't do's in the 10 Commandments. Yet, he gets down the mountain. Hey, go ahead, take up your swords and go slay all these people. It's funny because this happened in Exodus 32. Now, here's another one, another example of what I consider to be not just immoral, but a serious atrocity. If you go to Judges, I believe it's Judges 11. Yeah, Judges 11, like 11 to 20. There's a story of this guy. He was like a warrior. He's a great fighter. His name was Jephthah. I cannot even pronounce it correctly. Jepthah. Jephthah. So anyway, make a long story short, to make a long story short, his brothers kind of kicked him out of the area. And then there were wars that they were starting to fight. And his brothers needed his help and wanted his help because they knew he was a great fighter, great warrior. So he agreed to go fight. Now, one thing that Jephthah did is he asked God and made a pact with God and said, if you allow me to win these battles, the first thing that comes out of my house, I will offer it and sacrifice it to you. Well, guess what? He fought the battles, he won the battles. When he went back home, guess what the first thing that came out of his house? His daughter. That's right. His daughter was the first thing to come out of his house. His daughter turned around and asked him, say, can I go to the mountain for 2 months to go mourn and, grieve? When she came back, the Bible says he kept his promise, and turns around and wants to, make it seem like it was a pure sacrifice by saying she was a virgin. Who cares? Who cares if she was a virgin? The bigger thing to me is, that's an atrocity. If God was seriously all-powerful, he could have just simply won the battles for Jephthah, or given Jephthah the power, okay, fine, to go ahead and win the battles, which he did. However, I see that to be a little bit immoral. If you are supposedly all-knowing, yet you're going to turn around and allow this guy to keep a bargain that he made with you, in which he has to offer his daughter as an offering to you, kill his own daughter. Now, here's the thing that bothers me about that, because if I supposedly made a pact that way with anybody and said the first thing that comes out of my house, I will kill it to give to you, and I saw that was one of my children, I'm like, it's time to renegotiate. Not happening. I'm not killing one of my children just for anybody. I'm not doing it ever. That thought would not even cross my mind. But guess what? It still happened. And God allowed it to happen. To me, that's an atrocity. To go ahead and allow Jephthah to kill his daughter because of a bargain he made. If God is all-knowing, he would have known that that girl was the first thing that would have came out of Jephthah's house. And hopefully would have done something differently, being all-powerful. See, these are some of the things I have questions on, and how could it be correct or morally right to do things like this? I mean, again, you see where I just gave you 3 examples of where God kills in the Bible. And some of these killings, as far as I'm concerned, are needless. But still happened. So anyway, these are some questions that I have and had. And, again, I'm going to have more to come. in the series of videos I'll be making. And hopefully somebody will have an answer for me as to the morality or the correctness, I guess, of these killings by God, by an all-powerful being that knows the outcome of these things, but yet still allows them to happen. Oh, and one more little thing. This really has nothing to do with the Bible, but this still has to do with, morality of God, I guess. If God is really all-powerful and all-moral, here's a question I have, and it bugs me to this day. There are priests, Catholic priests, who totally supposedly love God and worship God. And of course, I will remind everybody, the Catholic religion came out way before whatever other Protestant religion you are. So you could be Pentecostal, Baptist, non-denominational. Catholicism came first. And all those other religions came from Catholicism. They broke away. Martin Luther, in fact, was the first one who came out with a Lutheran church. And that happened not even 500 years ago as we speak today, right now. But anyway, get back to the topic. These priests rape boys, and yet nothing happens. What ends up happening seems as though the Catholic Church just moves these priests around to another church. You would think if God is all-knowing, that He would know that the priests are going to do that and would stop it before it happens. And if He's all-powerful, He would put an end to it. Yet it continues to happen. Anyway, everybody, these are, like I said, questions I have, and I will be exploring things of this nature as the weeks go by. Anyway, fellow everybody, this is Megzable69 at Take the Red Pill, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.